Hi, everybody. We have a special guest tonight, a remote viewer from Bulgaria. Teodor, take it away.
My name is Teodor. I'm 33 years old. I'm from Bulgaria. I work as a school teacher in mathematics and computer science, and I've been a remote viewer for 2 years now. Actually, slightly over 2 years, and I'm trained in the TRV methodology. And during the past year, I've gotten much more involved with it. And yes, one thing I wanted to share about my journey is that I began my RV journey back in January of 2023. And I attended a TRV seminar in Bulgaria. That seminar that I did was my first introduction into the field of remote viewing. And at first, I was incredibly skeptical. I didn't even believe that remote viewing was real. And I went to that seminar just as a joke to see what's going to happen. And when I saw with my own eyes that there is truth to this phenomenon and that it can be done, suddenly my mind was a whirl with possibilities. That if I could learn this, if I could get good at this, what I would be able to accomplish. And the very next day, when I went back home, I did a lot of Google searching, and eventually I stumbled upon Major Ed Dames, and I discovered his Learn RV DVD set, which I immediately got, and I immediately started the DVD set, and suddenly everything started to make sense for me. And whatever I was unable to learn at that seminar, all the gaps in knowledge were filled by Ed's DVDs.
I just want to say to everybody out there, this guy is a great remote viewer. I was so impressed by his work. I've worked with Teodor with another group. That's how we met, and that was pretty good. That was pretty impressive. And you worked on the first stage of the last project that I was managing, which we'll talk about tonight. So it was just amazing work. To think you've only been remote viewing for that long, that's that knocks me out.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the kind words. I always strive to do my best in anything that I do, not just remote viewing. And I have this culture and discipline to strive for excellence. So priding myself on my work ethic is one thing that is really important for me. I owe a great deal of my success to my mentors and the people who taught me, which I will get to shortly. Back in January of 2023, I began my self-study process and journey, and I started doing my first experimentations. Uh, I rewatched those DVDs many times over. I made my own targets. I asked friends of mine to make targets for me. I would do these little experiments where I would ask a friend to choose a random object and to hide it somewhere in their house. The more random location, the better. And I'm supposed to use my RV skills to locate it. In one case, a friend of mine, she took a stuffed toy sheep and she put it on her balcony, floating in a water tank. So, like the sheep is on a little plastic plate floating in a water tank. And in my session, I described the balcony and the uh, the thing in which the ship was floating, and I got floating motion. And my postulate was it's most likely somewhere in your balcony. And lo and behold, there it was. So this was the first time I managed to impress someone with my remote viewing skills. But it's important to know, to state that I also had tons of misses, tons of failed sessions. And I think that this is a process through which every serious remote viewer goes, where after the high, after the seminar wears off, then there is a sharp diminishment in results. And this is the point where the viewer has to improve their skills so their abilities become much more reliable. And the viewer hits the targets not by luck, but by skill in being fully aware of what they are doing at every state of the process. Because, as Ed Dames says, remote viewing is an attention management skill. You have to be supremely disciplined and rigorous and to stay in structure and understand what you're doing and to always and to be able to separate the signal from the noise. And if you ask me, that's my opinion, no matter what your skill level is as a remote viewer, beginner, intermediate, advanced, professional, no matter what HARV school you use, 80% of the remote viewer's work is to separate the signal from the noise, regardless of what technique you're using or what method you use to translate the data from your unconscious mind to your conscious. My period of self-study lasted from January to like September, October in the fall. So during that time, I did like hundreds of sessions. And one thing that made a huge difference for me was getting Brett Stewart's book, The Complete Guide to Remote Viewing. And I think that that book is excellent and it explains the theory really well. And I think that it's a good resource. So that book made a massive change for me. It also goes into stages 6 in the various applications, which I found very useful. The remote viewing DVDs only go up to the site template in TRV. I did many months of self-study and I realized I would need a teacher. I could only get so far by working on my own. The fall of 2023, I did research and exploration, and I managed to find out who are the most prominent members in the TRV community, mainly people who were trained by Major Ed Dames back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And I was able to get in touch with some of these people. And one of the most significant people, at least for me, is Stefan Stefanov, because he is the only person from Bulgaria who was personally trained by Major Ed Dames one-on-one. So Stefan's journey as a remote viewer is really long and interesting. He did training with Major Ed Dames once in 2008 and once in 2010, and Stefan brought TRV to Bulgaria in 2009. This is a magazine in Bulgaria which was issued last December, so fairly recently. I suppose that the majority of the audience cannot read Cyrillic, so I'll just translate it. It says, the psychics of the CIA, remote viewing, the skill that anyone can learn. So this is a magazine dedicated to remote viewing. And this is Stefan. Yeah, one more photo. Yes, so back in 2009, he did the first TRV seminar in Bulgaria. During like, I don't know, like 13, 14 years, he did like over 40 seminars in Bulgaria on all RV level, beginner, advanced, and a few seminars on HARV, the hybrid associative remote viewing protocol, which is used for sports betting, financial markets, and all that.
Binary of a binary.
Binary,
Yes or
yes,
no.
binary remote viewing. Yeah, and I got in touch with Stefan uh, in the fall of 2023. And yeah, that began our acquaintance, our friendship. It was a long time before Stefan offered his next seminar. So I wanted a teacher now. I didn't want to wait a ridiculously long time, at least for me, for a seminar. I don't like to sit down with hands tied. And I reached out to Morgan Farrell from Canada, who is also one of Ed's most prominent instructors. And I sent Morgan an email, and he happily accepted me as a student. And shortly after, I did 2 weeks of one on one training with Morgan, which expanded my abilities even further and solidified my skills. And it gave me very valuable experience to work with a experienced professional remote viewer. And I learned a lot of new stuff from Morgan. My structure was improved, my execution was improved, learned many new tips and tricks and cool little things that I wasn't aware of. And here's the magical moment. On the last day of my training with Morgan, all our work was done. We're like, goodbye, man, see you around. And we ended the Zoom meet. And then I wanted a break. And I opened up my Facebook and I saw that I have an unread message from Stefan. And I was like, this is interesting. You know, what could Stefan want now? And I read the message, and Stefan invited me to participate in his next TRV seminar, which was an advanced seminar, which happened a few months later. I did Stefan's advanced seminar, which was really neat. And I really enjoyed it. Working with Stefan was amazing, met great people. And for the first time, I met plenty of experienced and skilled Bulgarian remote viewers in person. So that was a really magical moment for me. And I truly felt like I belonged among my own people, so to say. 7, 8 months after Stefan's advanced seminar, he did another one, a specialized seminar on HRV, the hybrid associative remote viewing. So we did a 3-day seminar specifically on that. And what was interesting about it is that the actual technique of HRV is simple, but the analysis is not. So plenty of the seminar was dedicated to data analysis, which was very valuable. And Stefan shared his experience of over 12 years of using HRV because he used it very heavily in predicting the outcome of tennis matches. So he's really good and proficient in that. So he says that he made all possible mistakes and he learned a lot from that. And he passed that on to us, which I really appreciate. And one thing, I never had that much interest in HRV, but it grew onto me and it got really addictive. And from time to time, I like to predict the outcome of tennis matches. Another fun coincidence is that Bulgaria's number one tennis player, Grigor Dimitrov, is from my hometown.
Wow, how's that?
And we share the same hometown. Yeah. And we also are of the same age. Yeah. A lot of coincidences. And yeah. And I also did some training with a German TRV instructor, Tobias Schwarzblas, who is a skilled remote viewer. I was really impressed by his work, and I also took some training with him. Yeah, so those are my three major RV mentors. Also, I was able, in the meantime, to attend two online seminars by Ed Dames. One was in May of 2023. He did a TRV enhancement clinic, which I attended via Zoom. So he had two groups, the live group and people who joined in from Zoom. And he did another event back in January of 2024, which was a strictly online event. Most people asked like a maximum of three questions. I was able to squeeze in 12.
Well, he remember you. So, how is Ed these days? Because he can be a bit grouchy.
Yeah, it is definitely very fun and entertaining to listen to. I mean, he has the best jokes.
What are some interesting targets you've done? What stands out in your mind as a target that you still think about?
I wanted to talk about one front-loaded target that I did. So basically, it's something that I did
Oh,
fairly recently.
what is front loading? Before we,
Front loading means that I know what the target is. So basically, I am creating a target for myself, and I know what the target is, but I don't know what the answer will be. So I'm still solving for an unknown. And yes, I chose to do a front loaded target that I don't know what the answer will be. However, I know that I will get a verification. And some of my remote viewing work is front loaded because I am my own taskmaster and I want to do targets that are relevant to me and my life, things that are interesting to me. Like 60 to 80% of my work is on blind targets. Blind target means that I only receive the target reference numbers, and the target can be anything. It could be a person, a place, anywhere in time. I have no idea.
so often enough when we're training, we practice our remote viewing skills. Say maybe every day we have a blind target we give ourselves. We have a blind target pool, don't we? A whole,
Yes.
like it can be as many as you like. I used to use 300 blind targets, and they get everything in there from family members.
That is a strange coincidence, Gerard,
Yeah.
because a month ago I wanted to make my own blind target pool. So each target, it's just a simple photograph and the target reference number above. So that's it. And I made 300 of these. And I have them on a folder in my computer. And whenever I need a blind target, I randomly choose one and I remote view it. And then I open it up and see how well I did. Did I describe the photo well or not? So it's interesting that you said 300 because that's how big my own pool is.
Tell us about this front-loaded one.
So, my objective was simple. I wanted to use remote viewing to accurately describe a random person I do not know. So, the goal was choose a random person, whomever it may be, and I'm supposed to use my skills to extract accurate information about that person and their life. So, What was my tasking? I wanted to choose a random world leader because every head of state has a Wikipedia page, and that will be my feedback on how well I did. I chose a random country which I know nothing about. I chose the Solomon Islands. The tasking was Solomon Islands slash current president. So the target was simple: describe the current president of the Solomon Islands. So I started my session, and that was the basic data. And that's when I went into stage 6. I wanted to draw a face, what they look like, their clothing, their lifestyle, and I did make a facial drawing and how they look like. I drew the person sitting on a desk, and they were standing like this in my stage 6 drawing, and I got uh, what kind of clothes they wear, how well their political job is going, and things like that. Okay, but here's the data point that really blew my mind, and I'm still skeptical of my own result to this day. Well, please bear with me. In TRV, we not only have stage 6 tools, but we have the experimental stage 7, which is designed to extract vocal information from the signal line. For example, people names, street names, landmarks, and all that. And I was like, let's try to extract his name. And I pulled up a new sheet, wrote stage 7, cleared my throat, and I produced syllable by syllable this name, Maniluka. So, okay, this is the guy's name, Maniluka. Could be wrong, could be on target, who knows? And that's where I ended my session. And I did a summary of my data. I was done with it. And I jumped to Wikipedia. Oh, okay, Solomon Islands, here we go. Current head of state, Jeremiah Manele.
That's pretty close.
I was like blown away because this is the first time in my life that I was able to successfully employ stage 7. In his Wikipedia page, he was sitting like this on the. So in my stage 6 sketch of him, I was able to capture his body language.
Mm.
And in my sketch, he had glasses, and in his official portrait, he does have glasses. And one weird thing was that in my stage 6 sketch, I had this weird data point that this guy is really short, like really short. Intuitively, I caught that he was 1.6 or 1.7 meters tall, which was incredibly short. Man, I must be off target. And then I checked the guy on photos on Google. He really is short. There is a picture of him where he's shaking hands with China's president, Xi Jinping. Compared to the Chinese guy, he was super short.
Mm. Although he's short in stature, he'll be huge in ability to govern. Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely. I did pick up on data points in stage 6 that shows that he's competent, that he had a solid political education, and that he sees things like having good foreign relations. I think that I also said that he has problems with the public, at least at the time I remote viewed that target.
Solomon Islands, there's a lot going on there, politically, socially. There's a lot of history and a lot of dynamics going on with foreign influence. It's very much a hot spot, really, in this part of the world. Politically, yes, yeah, it's an important place. Wow. What about targets that you're planning on investigating? You aim to investigate.
Yeah, so right now I am working a major project with Stefan, which is going to have a huge significance here in Bulgaria. However, I can't really talk about it now, but eventually things will be published. But in my own practice, I did several targets remote viewing myself. My own optimum trajectory, at least for the time being, what I'm supposed to be doing in my life right now. Again, a front-loaded target for myself. It turned out to be working on my skills more and attaining that level of mastery through very high self-rigor and high self-standard. And it also has to do with being public or semi-public. And also I did a target, my life's task. Basically, yeah, what is the thing that I'm here to do? Like, what is my life all about? And consistently, there was the topic of mastery and like being both the sculpture and the sculpture.
Most remote viewers are interested in doing that. They're seeing their optimum path ahead, looking at their optimum career.
And that's this is one of the main reasons I picked up remote viewing is to use it as a tool for self-improvement and self-discovery. I really love that aspect of RV and optimum trajectory. These are among my most favorite types of targets. Along with remote viewing future events, there are people from other remote viewing schools that do not consider front-loaded targets as legitimate remote viewing. But people need to understand that 80% of my remote viewing work is done blind. I do front-loaded targets from time to time, but on really important topics. And this is where some of my most interesting data comes from. During the past, I don't know, 2-3 months, I was doing a lot of HARV sessions, and I was using it to predict the outcomes of tennis matches. So my success rate in HARV is around 80%. Stefan's success rate is around 90%, sometimes a little bit more, but he has tons of experience and he has his own personal way of doing it, and that's his own development and improvement upon HARV.
HARV traditionally has been done with images.
So this is what I do. I have envelopes with pairs of photos, colored printed photos, and I have 50 envelopes with photo pairs in each one. You know, when the weeks pass, the months pass, I forget what the photos are. Like, it's impossible to remember 50 pairs of photos. I sit down and do the remote viewing session, which is really short, just 20-25 minutes. In TRV terms, I only explore aspect X, the single most important aspect in the session, and I stop after I explore the main aspect. I end the session, and then I open up and see which photo is associated with which player, and then I check my data, and usually my data very well describes one of the two photos. And it's almost super clear who is going to win. And in most cases, I am absolutely right. However, in HRV, there still are some phenomena that we still do not fully understand. And we still do not understand fully how to counter them, such as the displacement problem, the bleeding through of data. Yeah. And Stefan has a few clever workarounds that defeat the displacement problem to a huge extent. However, that is something that you learned at his seminar. So,
Yeah, really, really useful tool, especially the way Ed uses it. Like, yeah, I'd love to have Ed on the show and talking about his stuff, but he's a bit reluctant to come on, I think. Um, I need a few thousand more subscribers. Hey, you out there? Hey, we just did a project. That's the challenge that I put out. You were in the first group, the first stage and the second stage. There were three stages. So there were three queues. The first queue was topical, and the second queue was very specific. That came out of the kind of data we got in the first stage, which was very surprising for all of us.